YouTube, Danny Staten here, on the Daily Dan blog, and I'm back with another comic book review. Today I picked out a couple of good choices. I looked through this Dark Horse House of Night comic book, and it was just a little too boring. And then I looked through this one, Sandman, Mystery Theater, supposedly based on radio shows from the 1930s. And I thought, well, that would be cool. No matter which way I went with these comic books, either way, I was in the shitter and didn't know it. Yeah, I should have did this one, but I'd had to censor half of it. So I chose this. That's right. Sandman Mystery Theater. The Face, Episode 4. Featuring Lon Chaney Sr.? What? Dave, is this the good stuff? I'm betting you'll think not. So from the creative minds at Vertigo DC Comics comes this incredible piece of garbage from 1993. And the artist made sure they draw little things so you can know who to blame for this dismal freaking nightmare we're about to freaking endure, oh God. So in full panels, brought to you by the Daily Dan blog, we're going to see our mystery man, the man they call the Mask. That's right. Check out his mask. I think he's expecting a gas attack. Oh my goodness. And he, of course, he's hanging out at the famous Lon Chaney movie theater where they're showing Laugh Clown Laugh. Anybody know what Laugh Clown Laugh is? Because I know Lon Chaney movies and I'm not sure I ever heard of that one. But everybody's all upset because little Jimmy done got it whooped. That's right, little Jimmy took a beat down from some masked clown. Little Jimmy's all upset. Little Jimmy's bleeding everywhere. Little Jimmy's girlfriend, I think that could be Lon Chaney's daughter, is all upset that little Jimmy has had that ass whooped. Little Jimmy is quickly loaded into the rescue squad, rushed off for medical attention after the brutal beatdown he took at the hands of the masked man. Young, whatever the hell her name is, Jill's dad shows up and jerks Jill. I wonder if that's Lon Chaney. It don't even say in the comic book. We just know that's her daddy. In the darkness, a masked man stalks a goof. Following the goof down the steps, the goof turns around in front of the poster for the Lon Chaney movie still, and he's attacked by our masked man who wonders why you whooped little Jimmy's butt. The masked man gets vengeance on the attacker and destroys little Jimmy's beater. And then we see that the man in the mask is really Lon Chaney! Oh my God, Lon Chaney's a superhero! Ah! And here's one for my friend Eric over at Hair Metal Revolution. Be sure to check out Hair Metal Revolution, my friend Eric Wood's channel. He's doing awesome! Hey, Aerosmith, expert. You ain't never heard this, and here's a special one for Eric. You can read this if you want to and learn all about Aerosmith that you never heard before in this secret comic book from 1993. And our story rolls on with full panels brought to you by the Daily Dan blog. Oh my God, what a horrible story. Anyway, Daddy's all upset. Little girl's been dating Jimmy. He's threatening to blow Jimmy a hole. Another hole. She's saying, please leave Jimmy alone. He's off to the hospital to confront Jimmy about messing with his daughter and getting her involved in acts of violence, but the police are watching the house. And you're not going nowhere. You may be in danger too. They got Jimmy. You could be next, Daniela. And the children went on a crusade, that's right. They were young sleuths, and what the hell is this coming out in Vertigo? You know, when I first looked through this book, I thought this was a whole nother story starting, but it's not. It's just a little preview for some crap coming out in 1993 from the Children's Crusade comic, and you can check this little piece of garbage out, because it really bothered me that I thought that was a new story starting when I looked through it the first time. I love this Lon Chaney Jr.'s darting on his goddamn Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde mask right there, as Lon Chaney Sr. is done rolling through the nightclubs where the Blue Woman performs. You know, this comic book has got some blue women in it. You know, I'm starting to think this might not even be on planet Earth with the blue alien women dancing around. Well, a lot of weird stuff went on back in 1933, buddy. Let me tell you what. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, we're gonna have to change little Jimmy's bandages, so we're headed off to his hospital room with two old ugly-ass nurses who are in shock to find that the window's open and little Jimmy has broke camp. That's right, there's a big gangster meeting going on somewhere down. What the hell? And we just go from Jimmy jumping out a window to some big gangster meeting, all of them talking about bad stuff going on in their town. They want to split up the profits. They want to be in charge. They want to be big-time gangsters. Now you know why I have problems with this comic book. Yeah, well, little Jimmy's not dead yet. Little Jimmy escaped the hospital. They sent some old guy a letter telling him about it as he plays with his little dolls. Yeah, we got a grown man that plays with his little dolls in this comic book from 1993. Oh my God, she's all upset. She's locked in her house. She's under police guard. She's listening to the radio. She flips the radio up real loud and runs out to the back door. The cop hears the radio. And the radio, help, blah, blah, blah. You see what it says. And the cop runs in, but when the cop runs in, she runs out the other door. She's pulled the fast one on the police. So Info Panels brought to you by the Daddy Damn Blog. We give you the most confusing piece of crap comic book that ever lived. That's right. Masked man's put on a new mask. He's running amok. He's asking questions. He's trying to track down the killer. Little did he know he found the killer, and he's about to catch an axe in the back of the head. As little Jimmy stalks around trying to track down those who beat him down, little Jimmy's done got a gun. Little Jimmy meets up with his girl who knew right where to find him for some reason. Meanwhile, Lon Chaney catches up with the bad guy, but the bad guy says, "Nah, Chaney, I'm going to cut your head off with my axe." Axe. My axe is my bungee. My axe is my bungee. He's an ICP guy. Oh my God. He's going after Lon Chaney, calling him a liar. But I don't know why he's calling him a liar. Apparently, when you don't say nothing, it makes you a liar. And by the way, usually when somebody gets called a liar, it's because they told a lie. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? You know who I'm talking to. If you get called a liar, it's because you told a lie. Alrighty, and apparently, unless you can't talk, killer guy winds up with the Lon Chaney's mask as Lon Chaney disappears into the dark crypts of the night. And it's at this point in this dismal nightmare of a comic book that I'm hoping is over really soon. This is going to be a real short video, isn't it? This comic book is horrible. Anyway, I want to give a special shout out to my friend Dave Sunstorm. You know, the Good Stuff guy. Him and his brother Steven here on YouTube. The Good Stuff guys. Be sure to check out Dave. And Pat McCormick at the Golden Ranger TV. I'm not sure what he's doing lately. I think he's been taking some time off. And be sure to check out Brain Bender's banner over there. You'll see me there on Saturday nights on her panel. As well as my friend Corey. Corey's comedy channel. We all know Corey because he's the only comedy channel on YouTube with business cards. Be sure to check out my friend Thrash, Pondo Pons, my partner in crime. You know, you can see us every other Sunday on our show, Thrash and Dan Save the World, with our girl Sarah. Don't forget about Sarah. My flock is everywhere. Our incredible producer. And while we're talking about incredible people, check out E. McGill, the Unapologetic Geek. He wrote a cool book called Paradox you need to check out, as well as my friend Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, who's got the True Cryptid Encounters books coming out, which make great Christmas gifts and the best stuff to read at Halloween. Now let me roll through the rest of the guys real quick, like BK on the Air, Big Guys 45s, the Nostalgic Plot Blast Chance. You know, that's one of my favorite channels. I love his new Star Trek stuff. Retro Nerd Girl, and the Life and Sad Endings channel with a special shout out to Hair Metal Revolution Eric. Hey, thanks for joining us on our show Sunday, Eric. Hey, and be sure to check out Eric at Hair Metal Revolution. For sure, guy. Now back to my dismal piece of shit nightmare. That's right, young Daniela is having trouble coping with the fact that Jimmy got his butt whooped. She's on an investigation to find out who whooped Jimmy's butt. She finds herself in Chinatown dealing with ninjas for some reason. As crazy axe-wielding psychos chasing Lon Chaney down the street, Lon Chaney has donned his masked man costume to do battle with the evil axe-wielding psycho. Oh my God. We got two great and powerful heroes battling. There's only one thing we can do. Put in a commercial for something Much better. That's right, a commercial for Superman. Superman saving poor children. Superman wanting you to donate to the American Red Cross. And you can donate right here if you want to send money to help Superman. To help Superman save the world. What the fuck? And I love a comic book where the commercials are probably the best part of the damn comic book. And that's what we're getting with this incredibly cool commercial for the Phantom Stranger. You know, I wished I was looking at a Phantom Stranger comic book instead of this dismal piece of shit. Oh, hallelujah, as this comic book comes to an end. The axe-wielding lunatic found bound with a note explaining who and what he had done. Little Daniela's back with her dad at the penthouse? No, they're in a penthouse. And she says her time with the Oriental community was treacherous. I understand none of that. Do you understand any of that? Anyway, the Sandman, the masked vigilante, has captured the bad guy. Sweet little Daniela's safe. She'll grow up and date Dr. Wu, and they'll be happily ever after together. And now we get curtain call where you can pause it and read this incredible bunch of bullshit that I wouldn't read if you paid me a paycheck to read this garbage. I will not do it, Marone. You'll have to handle it and email me about it this time. And then we get the ledge. This makes me want to jump off one looking at this crap. Oh, jeez. How about prayer, confession, and damnation? Yeah. I confess this comic book sucks. I pray for a better one, and I curse this one to damnation. And how old is this comic book? The back cover got a Demolition Man Stallone and Snipes commercial. Hey, that movie was 10 times better than anything in this comic book. And that's my look at the Sandman Mystery Theater, based on the adventures of Lon Chaney Sr., the biggest piece of crap comic book I think I've ever opened in my life. Let me know if you agree in the comments below. The only other thing that would have been worse was if I popped open the House of Night and we got to see Buffy the Vampire Slayer in reverse, a girls' school where you learn to be a vampire. We may do that one next week. What a piece of it's a double shot of garbage right here, I'm telling you. Wow. Until next time, this is Danny Staten on the Daily Dan blog. Hoping I have something really good next time because it's getting close to Halloween. I'm trying to whip out the horror stuff. I'm trying to find some really good scary comics, and this is what I've been coming up with. Maybe I need to dig a little deeper in the box. But now that I think about it, there is a little something that I haven't took a look at yet. And maybe, just maybe, I'll check out some of this cool stuff this Halloween. What do you think? Anybody want to see Puppet Master?